I let it fall. My heart, and as it fell, you rose to claim it. It was dark, and I was over until you kissed my lips and you saved me. My hands, they were strong, but my knees were far too weak to stand in your arms without falling to your feet. But there's a side to you that I never knew. All the things you say, they were never true. And the games you play, you would always win, always win. But I set fire to the rain, watch it pour as I touched your face. When it burned, well I cried 'cause I heard it screaming out your name, your name. We're late with you, I could stay there, close my eyes, feel you here forever. You and me together, nothing gets better. 'Cause there's a side to you that I never knew. All the things you'd say, they were never true. And the games you'd play, you would always win, always win. But I set fire to the rain, watch it pour as I touched your face. When it burned, well I cried 'cause I heard it screaming out your name, your name. I set fire to the rain, and I burst into the flames. When it fell, something died 'cause I knew that was the last time, the last time. Sometimes I wake up by the door, that heart you gone must be waiting for you. Even now when we're already over, I can't help myself from looking for you. I set fire to the rain, watch it pour as I touched your face. When it burned, well I cried 'cause I heard it screaming out your name, your name. I set fire to the rain, and I burst into the flames. When it fell, something died 'cause I knew that was the last time, the last
Thank you for joining us in Paris.
Thank you, Frank.
Always a pleasure. To start, can you share what initially drew you to the drums?
Yeah, so it was quite a while ago, and my dad played me a song. It was an American artist called Sandy Nelson, and it would have been a 60s song, and it's called Let There Be Drums. And it was like a sort, they called it surf music, so it was like guitar, just guitar and drums. It's weird. That was the main sort of makeup of the song. So this like sort of 60s distorted guitar and then this drum beat. And I heard it, and the sound of the drums was the thing that I was like, I want to do that.
Oh yeah.
What's that? And I was 10. That was it. I was done. I'm like, I'm doing this thing. I'm going to do this thing.
Okay.
And that was a little while ago, and I managed it. And I did it.
Cool.
But yeah, my dad played me a record, and then the journey, started.
You are performing with a lot of beautiful artists.
Yeah.
Who's the one who inspired you the most?
Who inspires me the most? Yeah, they all do in different ways. I really enjoyed working with Sinead O'Connor. God rest her, because she was just like a sort of free spirit, really. And people talk about that, hippie sort of free spirit. But Sinead really was like a one-off, and she's incredibly warm towards me and the band. Never trouble, even though she was clearly troubled.
Oh yeah.
But she was really inspiring. I loved it. There's the short amount of time I toured with her for about a year or so, and she was really cool. And I also, when I toured with Sinead, my daughter was born, so it's really memorable that year. And she would, she'd message me, how's the baby? It's just really, really sweet. And it's funny because last night I remembered that we did is it Tratata TV show?
Taratata.
Taratata, yeah.
Taratata in English.
Yeah, in English. We did that show. And I found the clip last night. I might post it. And she looked really happy on the show. Like she was she was in a really good place. Yeah. So Sinead, really.
Yeah.
And there's so many. Van Morrison blew my mind when I worked with him. Tori Amos now keeps blowing my mind. Really incredible people. I'm very lucky. Like there's so many. Adele was unreal. Just so inspiring. Rod Stewart. They're all like amazing.
Yeah. Can you describe your approach to practice or performance? Your approach?
Yeah. Well, performance now, I really, really enjoy it. And I've always enjoyed playing, but when I was younger, obviously it was like a little bit inexperienced, a little bit stressful, but now I'm like, I try and really enjoy every moment, because you never know, I might not be around soon. But,
what made you love Gretsch?
So Gretsch, I've had a Gretsch kit. I had a 1963 round badge, which I've still got, and I bought that in 1993 or 1992 maybe. So I've had that a while, and that was always around, and I would use it on sessions. James Morrison, all sorts of people, Enrique Iglesias, would you believe? And that kit's in a studio just just below London. There's a studio in Surrey, and then of course I worked with Yamaha for quite a few years, and then when Yamaha did that very strange split with Sakai, I went with Sakai because they were the ones that I think people know this. It's probably pretty well known that Sakai made the drums for Yamaha since the 60s. And possibly beyond earlier, and Yamaha then changed production, so I stayed with Sakai, and Sakai didn't last very long. But the kit that I was playing with the Sakai company was a thing called a trilogy, which was maple, poplar, maple shells, and I really liked them. And then when it looked like it was not looking good for Sakai, I'm like, oh no, what am I going to do? And the Broadkaster had just come out.
Yeah, it was the same
again,
wood.
And it was the same
combination.
ply, the same woods. And I thought, I'll just give it a try. And I thought, this is crazy. I've got to go here. And so that's why it was the Broadkaster that brought me to Gretch, really. And that's all I play. I've got three. I've got three Broadkasters. Got the black anniversary sparkle, which I don't think they make anymore. They discontinued that, the very first incarnation. And then I've got a vintage marine pearl kit, which is really great. And then I've got the black satin flame, which is with Snow Patrol. But I think when I go out with Tori Amos, I'm going to use my vintage 1968 Moonglow round badge. That's what I'm hoping to use with Tori, because the crew are great, she's great, the music can handle the fact that it's dynamic enough that I can use a real vintage kit. With Snow Patrol, I'm hitting too hard, it would die.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be dead after 2 shows. But with Tori, it's going to be okay.
I know that the halftime shuffle is your favorite rhythm.
It's
huh?
one of my grooves that I really like.
Is there another one that you like very much that you can mime on your knees?
Well,
for
I mean,
example?
I love reggae. Was one of the things that I really
Can
got
you mime
into.
it on your
Yeah.
knees?
You know, the one drop. In fact, there's a great bass player. When I first moved to London, there's the bass player with Massive Attack.
Oh yeah.
Right. A guy called Winston Blissett. He's from Jamaica, and he said to me, he's a bass player. He said, "You just need to know 2 fills." I'm like, "What? Just 2?" He said, "Yeah, reggae, just 2 fills, man. That's all you need." And I'm like, "Okay, show me." So he gets on the drums, and he's like, "This is the first one."
Okay.
I'm like, "Cool." And he goes, "This is the second one." I was like, okay, so essentially the same fill, and it's really stuck with me. And he's completely right. If you listen to a lot of Bob Marley, you know, Carly Barrett, who was the drummer all the way through all of that huge period of Bob Marley, that fill that Winston showed me, it's everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's kind of right. If you can learn that one, and then you're good.
If I could offer you 2 superpowers.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I know that the first one would be to fly. Okay.
We did that, and it was like, yeah.
What would be the second?
Oh, no, definitely. I was thinking about it when you asked me earlier. I want to be able to sprint really fast, like Flash Ash. Right. Because the reason I say it is because it'll give me more time.
Oh yeah.
So when you say, "Ash, we need you at sound check at 4 o'clock," I can leave at 1 minute to 4. So I can be watching TV, look at the clock. Oh, it's 1 minute to. Oh, hi, Ash.
I'm there.
You know what I mean? I've got loads of time if I could do that. So I'm up for sprinting really fast.
Okay. Last but not least, your favorite swear word.
Oh, my favourite swear word. Oh my God! Well, I swear too much. I mean, honestly, I definitely swear too much. But there's so many good swear words that I can't actually tell you what my favourite one is.
You have one.
Because some places in the world, it's a bad word. It's a bad word everywhere, so I can't tell you that one. I quite like bollocks, which is very, very, very English. Bollocks is pretty good.
Bollocks.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is
Bollocks.
testicles.
Thank you, Ash.
Thank you. Actually, cunt's my favourite, but you can't say that because Americans get really offended.
Okay.